Thank you. So my name is Anna Maria Stan, and I work for the European Commission for the Directorate General of Research and Innovation. I work on cultural heritage, and I actually joined this team this summer. Before I worked on climate change on Arctic policy, so on polar research, indigenous research and innovation, and before that on culture and education, including in UNESCO's culture sector. I worked there for several years. Thank you very much for inviting me as representative of the Commission to be with you today. I'm really glad, and I'm looking forward to listening and learning about the project. What I would like to speak to you about is just the wider policy context, or the bigger picture of this project being funded from Horizon Europe. And the topic is cultural heritage and sustainability, as we are dealing with both themes. As you all know, climate change started to be of growing concern for politicians and policymakers since some years ago. And the last Commission was the first one that had tackling climate change and other environmental disturbances as a big priority, which translated into a package of measures called the Green Deal. At the same time, there was concern for the effects of climate change in all fields, including the built heritage. And in Horizon Europe, since 2021, there were more calls for sustainable methods and technologies to restore monuments and works of art, and for advanced technologies for remote monitoring in the field. So now we have quite a big cluster, what we call the Green Cultural Heritage Cluster. And I think we are heading towards a more sustainable cultural heritage research ecosystem, which will be continued in the coming years with a measure that I will present in a few moments. Now, about the political context we are in, as I'm sure most of you know, we had European Parliament elections in May this year. And following that, the Council of the European Union appointed Ursula von der Leyen for a second mandate, which was approved by the Parliament. And a couple of months ago, so in July, she presented her new political guidelines with 5 big priorities of the new Commission are prosperity and competitiveness, including a clean industrial deal. I'll come back on that. Then European defense and security, supporting people and the social model, sustaining our quality of life, involving food security, water and nature, and protecting our democracy. The Green Deal objectives will be pursued. The idea is by 2050 to have Europe as a climate neutral continent. And in the first big priority, research and innovation is quite prominent, and it's foreseen to increase the research spending with a focus on fundamental research, disruptive innovation, and scientific excellence, which will mean in practice expanding the work of the European Research Council and the European Innovation Council. Now, because we are in a very specific field of cultural heritage, I also made this slide, a small parenthesis on the EU support to research and innovation for chemicals and advanced materials. Just to let you know that there is a communication in February 2024 on advanced materials for industrial leadership, with a whole series of actions from research to market uptake to boost design and use of advanced materials in Europe. And one of the most important action will be this co-program partnership with industry called Innovative Materials for EU. There is also strategic research and innovation plans for chemicals and materials, so for all the research spending. Now, coming back to culture, I said that there are new priorities, but of course there are continuity in policies. The Green Deal objectives and actions will be pursued, and for the culture area, we have several framework policy documents and programs that I'd like to mention that will continue and that are relevant for the projects we have here today. The first one is the report of the Open Method of Coordination Group from 2022, which had experts from ministry, and for the first time they made a report linking cultural heritage, resilience, and climate change. So they acknowledged the risks, identified threats, and also they had a whole series of recommendations and also case studies showing, for example, that traditional building techniques could help mitigate the effects of climate change. The second is the Council Work Plan for Culture, which is the main document setting the priorities for culture for EU work. And as you can see, it has a quite important green part, including safeguarding heritage against natural and human-made disasters. And the third is the new European Bauhaus, which is an action that started during the last Commission, and it has been growing with, now it has a mission of its own in Horizon Europe, so quite a lot of funding. So the new European Bauhaus, it's about the built environment, about architecture and heritage sites, and encouraging people to use new materials, technique, and quality standards to support the articulation between the built environment, heritage protection, and aesthetics, with a strong inclusion component, the togetherness. You see, it's sustainable together and beautiful, and I think it provides, through the funding, a lot of opportunities also for cultural heritage projects. So that was the part on more general European policies, and now I'd like to come back to Horizon Europe, because this is my main field, and we are here with Horizon Europe project. As you know, there is a whole cluster 2 dedicated to, in the funding of Horizon Europe, that has a whole part dedicated to cultural heritage. And there will be a very important initiative under cluster 2 concerning cultural heritage and sustainability, which is the proposed new partnership on resilient cultural heritage, which has two sides. One is safeguarding cultural heritage in face of climate change threats or other environmental disasters. But also it looks at how cultural heritage could be a resource from adaptation and mitigation to climate change. So we are saying there is a paradigm shift on cultural heritage being counted to help to adapt and mitigate to climate change, so being part of the solution. There is a first proposal that was published in April this year for the partnership. The general aim is to make Europe more resilient and climate neutral. I think now we are talking a lot about now already adaptation and mitigation strategies. And the advantage of having a partnership is that it will pool resources from both member states and the European Union. It will have a longer lifespan from 7 to 10 years. So the project, there will be more continuity for the project. And we also think the governance would be closer to actors in the field. So the reasons why this partnership was proposed was the limited research and evidence regarding adaptation strategies and the impact of climate change on cultural heritage, but also, as I said, the need to understand and recognize how cultural heritage can also inform policies and guide implementation measures, including the role of traditional and local knowledge. So in the partnership, we'll be looking at both tangible heritage, but also intangible heritage. In practical terms, the partners will be ministries, research, culture, environment, or regional development, cultural heritage institutions, universities, or other research centers, and more generally, NGOs or public enterprises working in the heritage field. I already talked about the duration, that it will have a quite long duration, allowing for continuity of projects. The budget is expected to be around 250, 300 million euros. 70% will come from partners and 30% from the EU budget, so from Horizon. In June this year, the Commissioner Ivanova sent a letter to permanent representation asking them to make the financial commitments for the partnership, and the responses are expected by the end of October, which means that the call and grant agreement preparation will be made next year in 2025, and the work of the partnership will start in 2026. It will have its own, so it will be basically like a mini Horizon program dedicated just to cultural heritage and resilience, and it will have its own calls. It will have a governance structure made by the partners, and its own calls. And I hope it will be of interest to you and that you will follow, because I think this would be the main areas that will offer opportunities for research in the field of cultural heritage and sustainability. I have finished my presentation, and if you have questions, I think you could, because I don't think it's foreseen now, but you could come to me. I'll be here the whole day, and I'll be very happy to meet you and to talk to you. Thank you for your attention so early in the morning.